Well, hello everybody, and I know this might be a couple of days late, but obviously MechWO Online decided to come over and take a massive shot on us and do the Civil War update, as they're calling it. They're probably not inspired by a recent Marvel film, and coming up with that name, because I'm not quite sure where the civil conflict's coming from here. Are they talking about the Fedcom Civil War? And where did the clans come into this? Anyway. That being said, this is the timeline jump that they were talking about a little while back. So, as it says here in big bold numbers, 3062 to 3067 is the tech, although strictly speaking that isn't where all of this new tech is coming from. There's a lot of bollocks here about where they're coming from and different things. So the meat and potatoes of it is this. New Innisphere tech. Obviously, the Innisphere will get their versions of the LB2, the 5 and the 20. We knew that already. The same with the UAX, which is good. Now, ER small and ER medium, so there are some differences which I have noted down here. So the Innisphere version of the ER small will do 3 damage. This is less compared to the clan's normal 5. It also has slightly less range, but it has the same weight and critical slots. And the ER medium does 5, same as a normal one, which is less than the clan's version, which is 7 damage, and again it has the same limitation on range, and it still weighs 1 ton for 1 critical slot. So there's that. You also get Street 4s and Street 6s, which will obviously be doing the same damage as the Innisphere versions anyway. Then you start to get to the really truly new stuff into the game. So first off we have Light Gauss. This was introduced in 3056, which is obviously not 3062. As the thing mentions. It was developed by the Free Worlds League. In comparison to the current Gauss rifles we're used to, this one will do 8 damage. It has a greater range though than the standard Gauss. I believe on tabletop it went something ridiculous like 25, maybe more. It weighs 12 tons and takes 5 slots inside the mechs compared to the standard 15 ton for 7 slots. You also get 16 shots per round, per ton. And that's double than what you get in a normal Gauss ton of ammo. However, the weapon will still explode, and the only upshot is that when it does blow up, it does slightly less damage to you than a normal Gauss rifle explosion. So yeah, basically you're doing better range, slightly less damage. I could see this being more popular than the normal Gauss, personally, especially for the fact that you're getting 16 shots per ton. It wouldn't surprise me if they try and tweak it and give it higher fire rates as well. Wouldn't surprise me with PGI. The heavy variant is a later development, 3061. Still outside that timeline that they say, and is developed by House Steiner or Lyran Alliance. This does a fucking ridiculous 25 damage at optimum range. Now, there is a drop-off on range compared to the light Gauss. The further away you are, it'll do slightly less pain to you. It's still going to hurt. It'll do 20 at medium ranges, and at its maximum range it'll only do 10, but that's still quite a lot of damage considering it's still doing the same outputs as a normal PPC, as a Gauss round for no heat, basically. Downsides, of course, it weighs a lot more. It's 18 tons, 11 critical slots, and you get 4 shots per ton. So far less. This is the kind of thing I imagine some players are going to boat in assault mechs, and they're just going to be walking up to something and doing a horrendous amount of damage. I can't even imagine what Kodiak builds and stuff are going to come out of this fucking monstrosity of a weapon. 25 damage at optimum range. I mean, if anything can mount 2 or 3 of these things, it's going to be murder. Absolute murder. Good luck balancing this, PGI. Next up we get to probably a giddy little favourite for a lot of people, rotary AC2s and 5s, so basically Gatling guns. The rotary AC2 was actually developed in 3062, the first weapon to do so. It was developed by the Federated Commonwealth. So basically rotary AC2s will do the same damage as a regular AC2, 2 per shot. However, on tabletop it could fire 6 times per round. At the slight increase of heat. Now, after a slight correction, that's 12 damage per round. It's quite a lot for an AC2. The downsides are it has shorter range, compared to the standard one. It's 18 hexes on tabletop, 24 for a normal AC2. You still get the same tons of shots per ton of ammo, so 45 shots, and it weighs the same at 8 ton and takes 3 critical slots. Compared to the normal AC2, that does 6 ton for 1 slot. So it's taking up a bit more room, it's going to weigh a little bit more, however your rate of fire is going to be massively increased. Now the way they describe it is that there'll be a jam time, so that will be a big factor. Obviously, I assume if the skill tree is going to take this into account, if there are any nodes that may possibly reduce that chance, that's going to be quite important. I like the idea of a spin-up, which obviously they would have had. That's not really something that is taken into account on the tabletop, but the spinning barrels will have a ramp-up time and a ramp-down time after firing, so I'd be interested to see how they work this. I am a little afraid that it's once again going to really heavily favour ballistic builds in the game. I don't know how they're going to approach this. Just thinking again of some of the mechs that could... let's see. Is there a possibility, say, a king crab could take 4 of these things in its arms? I mean, what we're talking about? 3 critical slots, so 6 critical slots in each arm. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, any mech that can take multiples of these things spinning up is just going to tear you apart, and with macros as well. Jesus Christ, this is going to be horrendously deadly. The other version is the AC5, which was also in 3062, made by Federated Commonwealth again. Obviously, it works on the same lines, fires 6 times a turn, but has a total of 30 damage. You still get the same amount of shots per ton of ammo, however it has, again, slightly less range. These ones weigh 10 tons and take 6 slots compared to 8 and 4 of a normal AC5. Again, not a huge drawback for the amount of damage you can do, and again I could see some mechs being built entirely around these weapon systems. Boatload of ammunition, as many of them things as you can comfortably fit with a decent amount of armor and an engine, and off you fucking go. You're just going to be ripping people apart. I really hope PGI are prepared for the kind of builds people are going to min-max with these things. So then we get into the MGs, light and heavies. A light machine gun was made in 3060. The Smoke Jaguar, in their dying throes of genocidal deathing and being just overall twats of the galaxy, decided to make this for some reason. It has 1 damage per shot, I guess, but that's not how it's going to work. Obviously in MWO, machine guns work very differently. It's slightly less damage than a standard machine gun will do anyway, and it has 500 rounds per ton, so you get a lot of ammunition for your buck there. It takes 1 slot for half a ton of space, the same as a regular machine gun, so essentially it will allow you to bring more machine gun and freeing up more weight for ammunition or maybe armor, however you want to work it. I can see it working on kit foxes that currently use a lot of machine guns, for instance, or is there a Nova with a... or no, it's the Shadowcat, the Shadowcat P version, the PGI one that has tons of machine gun slots. I could see it being popular with that. The heavy machine gun version is from 3060, is also by Smoke Jaguar. This does a little tiny bit more damage, 3 per shot for a maximum range of 2, so less range, tiny bit more damage. The biggest impact here is 100 rounds per ton. You're not going to be firing it very long, so it kind of emphasises more along the lines of using it when a mech has lost its armor and you're just trying to break up internals. So it has slightly more tactical use, in my opinion, and takes up half a ton for 1 critical slot. Now, a popular weapon for many on the forums I've seen over the years is the MRM 10s, 20s, 30s and 40s. MRMs are a bit weird. In lore, they work like SRMs do now in MechWarrior. You see, in tabletop, SRMs had to lock onto a target before you fired, but obviously in MechWarrior Online they don't, they're just dumbfire weapons. I'm not sure how they're going to really... I mean... I don't know, I think medium range missiles may kind of make SRMs possibly obsolete. They do less damage per missile, but you're still firing 10 at a minimum? I don't know. I mean, looking at the stats, these were also made in 3058, not 3060s. They were by Luthien Armorworks, so Draconis Combine. They do 1 damage per missile. and as I said, on tabletop they work as a dumbfire munition instead. They weigh 3, 7, 10 and 12 tons respectively, going up from the 10 to the 40. They take 2, 3, 5 and 7 critical slots inside the mech, and you get per ton of ammo you get 24, 12, 8 and 6 shots. So if you're MRM 10 per ton, you're getting a lot of missiles. Whether they adjust that on the fly, I don't know. They may do. PGI will probably have to do a lot of testing with MRMs, because they could potentially become a very, very high damage, high alpha weapon for very, very few drawbacks. Be interesting to see what they do with that. Now the rocket launcher, the 10, 15 and 20. Now, I was a bit confused with the rocket launcher because I'm pretty sure it's much older tech than 3050, but this was actually a periphery weapon. It was made by the Marian Hegemony. Again, these things do 1 damage per missile. The key thing is, as it says here, it fires an unguided low damage rocket, very low tonnage per launcher. Well, yeah, it's very low tonnage because you get 1 shot. You don't need to rearm, so that's it. What you bring is what you get. I'm not sure where tactically this will work. It makes sense within the lore of Battletech for the idea of periphery pirates or raiders or small militias mounting them on sort of technicals and stuff like that, or just sort of kit bashing together a small mech from a loader or something. But I can't really see this being mounted on a lot of mechs, to be honest. I think it's just being added just to fluff up the offerings. A one-shot SRM-20 sort of, but it's more like a one-shot MRM-20. But then you've got the MRMs, which go up to 40, so I don't see the benefit personally. Then we get onto the light and heavy PPCs. These are much later actually. These are 3067. These are both developed by the Draconis Combine. Now, a light PPC does 5 damage instead of the usual 10. It has a minimum range, so you have to keep that in mind, probably 90 meters. It has a maximum range of 18 hexes, so it's still fairly good. It's less than normal PPC though. Sorry, slightly more. You're taking 3 ton for 2 slots, which is quite good compared to a normal PPC, which is 7 ton for 3 slots. So, sorry, 3 ton for 2 slots and 7 ton for 3. Essentially means you could mount 2 of these for less tonnage than 1 PPC to do the same damage, slightly less range, and you'd be generating the same heat for firing 2. Be interested to see what kind of combinations people come up with that, whether they can find a better use for multiple light PPCs over a normal PPC. Yeah, that'll be a bit different. Now the heavy does more damage, of course, because it's a heavier version. It does 15 damage. Has the same range, but it has more weight. It actually weighs 10 tons and takes 4 slots. It might be good on a mech, like maybe you can stick it on a Vindicator, just to give it that extra oomph as that one major weapon. I suppose it could work on a Panther, just maybe. I'm just thinking of mechs that come with like a single PPC as their main weapon. I don't really know how many people are going to be using heavy PPCs over the light and the normal PPCs. Then you've got the Snubnose, which is also from 3067. It has a damage drop-off that starts at 10, similar to how the heavy Gauss worked, basically. You go from 10 at optimum range, 8, and then at max range you're doing 5 damage. The upshot, it has no minimum range like an ER PPC, and it weighs 6 ton and takes up 2 slots. So it's kind of the best midpoint between light PPCs and a regular ER PPC. I could see Snubnose actually being very popular, considering the fact it'll have max damage upwards, and you can still do something as you're moving around the field. You don't have to worry about minimum range. Then you get into the extra tech. So light engines, as it says there, it occupies 2 critical slots on each side rather than the standard XL engines that the Ionosphere currently have, which obviously take up way more. The upshot is you don't die as soon as you lose a side torso. In lore, they actually take up 75% of the weight of a standard engine within a battle mech. So they're not XL engines, they're standard engines that are slightly lighter, and yeah, they give you they can potentially give you more speed. In the background, they were made, I believe, with Wolf Dragoons in collaboration with another company when they were running out of Clan XL engine parts, so they had to come up with some kind of alternative. Basically, just stuff to make the Wolf Dragoons seem cool again. Light ferrofibrous armour was the next addition. We go around to my other parts of the notes here. This bloody pad is not listening to me. Right, so Light Ferro was also made in 3067, this time by the Free Worlds League. It was an attempt to mimic the Clan Ferro armour. The result was lighter, but you still get less protection. It takes 7 critical slots instead of the normal 14 of that. There we go. The bro helped out on that one. Lastly, because targeting computers and laser AMS, they're pretty self-explanatory. Targeting computers don't work like they do in tabletop compared to MechWarrior anyway. So we're basically going to be getting the Inner Sphere, as it says, Inner Sphere versions of Clan targeting computers, so all the bonuses on top of whatever. They'll probably the weight will probably not be the same, or there'll be some limitation, but it's neither here nor there. I never hear about many people taking targeting computers anyway. Laser AMS, well, yeah, you stick it on and it doesn't run out of ammo, it just generates heat. It's going to be popular for some light mechs that are going to be very good at support actions. However, the stealth armor is a Capellan generation. They tried to recreate a Star League piece of tech called the Null Signature System. This was made in 3063, and basically it gives all the normal benefits of standard armor. Now, it doesn't mention this here on the website, but yes, if you equipped stealth armor on a mech, and you say, for whatever reason you equip it but you don't have an ECM, it'll still give you the exact same amount of protection as regular armor will. The upside of using it is that when it's activated in conjunction with ECM, you become invisible. On tabletop, it just made it harder to hit you. Obviously, in MechWarrior Online, they're going to make it that you're completely invisible to sensors. Be interested to see how that works. Again, I'm not sure how many people are going to be using it, because honestly, how big are some of the maps that you need this? You visually identify more targets than you ever by radar anyway. Maybe a few of the larger maps like Polar, but then those maps are so big you don't detect people by sensors, you detect them visually anyway. Again, I think it's just something that was added just to bulk out the fluff. Now, clans. Clan tech, new stuff for the tank breeds. So basically we've got light and heavy machine guns. As I said earlier, they were made by Clan now dead and never coming back. They have the same damage as the Inner Sphere versions, they have the same critical slots. However, the light version for the clans is 1/4 of a ton, and the heavy version is 1/2 a ton. So they get the usual clan benefits of everything weighs a little less. Totally new stuff is the ER micro laser and the micro pulse laser. Now, the ER micro laser was again made by Clan Smoke, which they never bothered, they're all dead. In 3060, they intended this to be used in their terrible proto-mechs. Don't ever look them up unless you wanna like be scarred for life. They look fucking awful. And elemental suits. The micro laser will do 2 damage. It has a max range of 4 hexes, so a little less than what you get from a normal small laser. They weigh 1/4 of a ton each, and they take 1 critical slot. Now, comparatively, an ER small will do 5 damage for 1/2 a ton and 1 slot. I'm a bit worried about these things. It's 3 damage less than the normal ER small, but it's 1/4 of a ton. Yeah, that's some mechs are going to be boating a lot of them things, even with the less range. I think those are going to be very fucking deadly. The micro pulse version is 3 damage with even less range again, weighing 1/2 a ton for 1 slot. Same damage as a normal small pulse. Now, that's another worry. Same damage, but weighing 1/2 a ton. Not too sure about that. That's just the phone going off in the background, don't worry about that. It's all raw here, folks. So, then we get into the interesting side of things. We've got the heavy lasers. These include the small, medium, and large. These were made in 3059, outside of the 3060s time slot again. They were made by Clan Star Adder, which sadly aren't in Faction Warfare. And they are, respectively damage-wise, 6, 10, and 16. So heavy large lasers bring in the pain. They weigh half a ton, 1 ton, and 4 ton respectively. So a heavy small laser is doing 6 damage and only weighs half a ton. And they, slot-wise, they take up 1, 2, and 3. So, for instance, your medium laser, heavy medium laser, is doing 10 damage for 1 ton, and it takes up 2 critical slots. That is pretty damn good. The drawbacks of these things is that they have less range and much higher heat, as it says there. But it's interesting to note that the fact that the weight is also a big factor to consider here, and half a ton, 1 ton, and 4 tons for that kind of heat boost and range reduction is a fair trade-off. And yet again, I could see there'd be some very, very interesting build combinations coming out with these things. Now, the biggest addition missile-wise here, because again, the light active proven laser AMS and light tag all pretty much speak for themselves, but ATMs, right? Now, in Battletech, the Advanced Tactical Missile System was developed by Clan Coyote in 3053 originally, up to 3060, so they sort of developed this over time. The Advanced Tactical Missile System was basically a weapon system that could adapt its ammunition on the fly. So if the pilot was firing at minimum range, his missiles would be high explosive versions. It dropped the guidance in favour of more power. So your missiles would do 3 each. So an ATM-3 does what? 9 damage maximum when it hits. But then if you're at medium range, they fire very differently. They become SRMs in damage, doing 2 each, and they have minimal guidance. Or it's either they have minimal guidance or they're dumbfire. I think they're dumbfire. And the long-range versions, suddenly they become LRM damage. They do 1 each, and they have tracking. They all count as having Artemis 4 as well, so quicker locks. Now, Mech Line don't do ammo switching. They can't do ammo switching for whatever mysterious reason. They can't do it. So basically, they're just going to have the missile systems work as such. As it says, it will do damage based on distance. I've just told you now, when you're at close range, you're going to do 3 damage. When you're at medium range, you're doing 2. And when you're at long range, you're doing 1. How they decide to have the missiles fire, we don't know. I'm guessing they're going to have them lock and fire like streaks. Who knows, they might actually have it that when you're at different ranges, the missiles might change in the way they fly. So maybe at 500 meters, they might fly like LRMs. Under that, they may fly like streaks. And within a certain range again, they just dumbfire. It's doubtful they're going to bring that kind of system in. It would be cool if they did. But yeah, ATMs will not be working like they do on tabletop. So, to finish that off, we have the new mechs as part of the Civil War pack. As you can see here, we have the heroes, and I am aware that there has really been no movement on the screen for a long time. It's just been this, but it's been me yakking. But I thought I'd go over each part, as I thought there was some value in the actual stats of the weapon systems. But the pack has been unveiled, as you can see, broken down into 2 sides, Inner Sphere and Clan. They look like they've gone for a mix of 2 assault mechs and a light and a medium, so no heavy this time, so I was kind of surprised about it. The UZL is a 50-ton medium, one of the more striking and immediately recognisable mechs back from MechWarrior 4's day. Then we have the Cougar on the Clan side, bringing up the light section. It's basically a modified Adder. I believe they were developed during the battle, or prior to the Battle of Coventry, for anyone who wants to look that up. Basically under Martha Pride of Clan Jade Falcon. The Cougar is essentially that. It's a Jade Falcon mech. And then you have, weirdly, they've added the Annihilator. Now this is a 100-ton assault mech that actually dates back to the Star League era. It was built just prior to the end of the Amaris Civil War. It was taken by the Star League in exile, and they used it for couple of centuries before the design died out. The only reason it came back is because they sent the Wolf Dragoons back into the Inner Sphere, and they assumed the Inner Sphere would have the Annihilators, which obviously they didn't, so that raised some eyebrows. What the fuck are these guys turning up with a mech that hasn't been seen for, 300 years? So essentially the Annihilator doesn't actually bring any new tech with it. it's... I mean, if we bring it up here quick, you're looking at a mech that's bringing quad LB10s with some pulse lasers, quad AC10s with some medium lasers, quad PPCs with some medium lasers, and LB10s again. There's not really any... I believe the P version is the only thing that adds this new tech, and I'm sorry to say, the P version is made up. That is not legitimate. This is pure... They must have had the Annihilator in the works and just decided, oh, we'll add it to the pack. I'm happy the Annihilator's coming. It's cool. It's another 100-ton assault, and it looks fucking awesome. Bear in mind, though, this thing walks as slowly as an urban mech with a standard 60. It's 30-odd kph. Now, for all the fanboys out there, the Mad Cat Mark II has arrived. Congratulations. You must all be very happy with yourselves. The Mad Cat Mark II is a Diamond Shark creation, and they made it to basically make a huge profit by selling it to everybody, including the Inner Sphere. Mad Cat Mark II variant-wise. What we'll do... So, for the UZL, legitimate variants that I'll be making videos of will be the 3S, the 2S, I believe. They are the only ones. The 3P, 5P, and 6P can all go to hell, because they're not legit. They're all made up by PGI. The Annihilator, as I said, the 2A, 1A, 1E, 1X are all legit, so you'll be seeing plenty of videos of the Annihilator, and the 1P can go suck an egg. Cougar, that's all fine, so there's going to be plenty of Cougar videos coming with the Prime C, D, E, and H version.
Go Cougars!
Go Cougars! And the Mad Cat Mark II will be legit for the -1, -2, and -4 versions. The A and the B are, once again, made up bullshit by PGI to basically get you to pay money. So basically expect any of the made up versions by PGI to be superior in some way, because they want you to buy them, because they've got all those nice hardpoints, and oh, isn't it going to be so great? And it comes with certain special equipment for this time jump. Obviously, there's other benefits, like, you know, you get decals. I'm a bit confused by the Cougar's mech I would like to fight MILF decal. I'm really not sure about that one. That was a bit random. And the I'm a Snack one. Memes. We're going with memes now for decals. There's loads of decals in Battletech that you could use, guys. But whatever. What the fuck ever. There's new colours if you buy them early. Obviously, they've paywalled a few things behind reinforcements. I mean, for me, that the 5P and 6P aren't a big deal. The E and the H, I guess I'd probably like to have. Let's look at this. The 1X Annihilator I could live without, I guess, as you know, because the 1P I'm not asked about, and the A and the B Mad Cat Mark II, they're not a problem. So yeah, they all look very pretty. The artwork's great as usual. I do quite like the look of the Cougar. The UZL looks pretty cool, actually. The Annihilator, it already looked good. He's made it look a lot better. It looks like a fucking kaiju now. And even the Mad Cat Mark II's okay, but I don't know. I've just never really been that into it. I guess it's one of those things. Like, I guess if you played a lot of MechWarrior 4, you were just mad keen on the mech. Otherwise, yeah, it's all right, I guess. So. Yeah, that's it. That's my lengthy rant over, well, talking about the different aspects of the new gear. It'd be interesting to see how they balance a lot of this stuff. All of these mechs, if you buy the packs, will be available July 18th of this year. That will also coincide with the release of the new tech. So there'll be 4 new mechs running around, basically getting shit canned on the forums for being crap or being too OP or all this, that, and the other. It'll be interesting to see what kind of madness they're going to come up with. I really do hope they all look like the hero versions have all these colour schemes, because the Mad Cat Mark II with that Diamond Shark paint scheme actually looks fucking cool. And actually, Russ or anybody in PGA, if you listen to this, you remember when you launched Clan Wave 1 and you had all that cool artwork of the mechs that actually they had them paint, he'd drawn them to look like they were from each of the clans? Fucking bring those in. Give us those paint schemes, because they looked really good. And I don't see why you're paying a talented artist like this to produce fantastic artwork and then you're not using a lot of his art. I mean, even the collector's versions of them. Oh yeah, sorry, I have to go to the tab. Even the collector versions of the mechs look pretty cool. The UZL camo scheme's quite nice on that one. I quite like the Annihilators one, as it looks like a fucking dinosaur, so it's got like teeth on the side of the head. It looks really mean. And even the Madcap Mark II is quite distinctive. So yeah, that's cool. You should be bringing these things out as new camo schemes that we can buy as well, so we can put them over mechs. Who doesn't want like a lance of mechs that look like some kind of monster? That would be fucking sweet. Like all big kaiju. You got like kaiju lance. Come on, let's do it. I could put it on my dragon, which we've got to make great again, by the way, folks. Remember, keep making those dragons great. So thanks for listening, and yeah, have a good one. And thanks to the bro for turning the page and answering the phone during this video.
Get off my computer.
And I'm on his computer, so I've got to go now. Bye, 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 bye.